Hi, my name is Brenda McGee, and this is Paranormal Encounters. I have a very special guest today, and if you've ever wondered about demonology, what equipment paranormal investigators use, this is a show you're not going to want to miss. I want to welcome back a very special guest who is an expert in the paranormal equipment, Steve McLaughlin. Thank you so much for being here again.
It's good to be back.
All right, so the last show we ran out of time and we didn't get to talk about the equipment. And I know a lot of people ask, what do you use on an investigation? What don't you use? I mean, I personally use the EVP recorder, which, Steve, if you could show them what an EVP recorder looks like before we
recorder.
go. It's a digital recorder.
A digital recorder.
You can talk about that, what it does.
That's the simplest, easiest thing to use because then you get your EVPs, which is the voice phenomenon. But we've had amazing results, especially you, with using a recorder. You have a knack for getting EVPs.
And you know why? I'm going to tell you. Because most people go in and they provoke. And our team does not provoke. So I always tell people, when you go into a home, the first thing you do is, even though they're spirit, you say, thank you for allowing me to be here. And when you specify that you're there not to get rid of them or to hurt them in any way, that you just want to tell their story, or if there's something that they need.
Yes.
So that's why that's why I get the EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, from really good ones.
And we do it. It's amazing because you can download on the computer, then there's software you can use to highlight the EVP or to make it clearer. And we've had some pretty good ones.
We really have. And what we do want to say is, don't get one just and do it at your own home.
Bingo.
I always tell people, you know what? I have a voice recorder, but I will not do EVPs in my home, because that is just like a Ouija board. You're summoning and asking a spirit to please talk to you. So people out there, please don't use it, thinking it's a fun toy.
You may not be Aunt Martha.
Exactly. I love that. What's with Aunt Martha?
I don't know. Maybe Martha's here.
So, Steve, what other pieces of equipment would you like to talk about?
This is your favorite. This is called a melmeter. It measures the temperature and the EMF, electronic magnetic field. This thing is awesome because it gives you an immediate response, and you've seen it. It gives you the quick temperature changes, and that's one of the signs of paranormal activity is a temperature change, usually around 10 degrees.
And usually when it's on 0, there's nothing in the room.
There's nothing happening. Yeah.
If anything comes above that, then we know, if we look at that piece of equipment, something's coming.
Yes, and with that equipment, I'll show you again, is with this, it's designed to affect now, because a lot of times you'll have electronics in your home that are set at a certain decibel level or electronic level. This is designed to, when you get a reading, that's what's happening now. Because some meters don't do that.
Now, didn't a man do this because his daughter?
Yeah.
Or some?
Yep, it says named after his daughter.
She had passed.
Yes.
And he wanted to, was it because he wanted to communicate with her?
Exactly, yep.
So he came up with that piece of equipment.
It's awesome. It's an awesome piece of equipment. It's expensive equipment.
Yes.
This one, it's called an EM pump. What that does, it will light up and it will put electricity into the atmosphere. I can't talk anymore. But it pumps electronics into the atmosphere. So if a spirit is weak, it gives it energy to be able to respond to your conversation. Right,
and we do sometimes get those energies that need a little help, and you can tell because they're trying to communicate, but they don't have the energy to do that.
Yes, a lot of times when I'm with you doing this, we have the K2 meter, which is an incredible piece of equipment for paranormal activity because they can make the lights go on, say yes or no, make the lights go on, and they can do it pretty easily.
Right.
But with the EM pump, remember the time we were in, I forget the place, but we were getting responses, the Indian.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And that was lighting this thing up all the way red like that.
And I love that recorder, the K2 meter. See, I'm getting it from you. The K2 meter we love to use too when we're doing homes, so they can actually see the lights lighting up.
Yes.
And I love it too because we always have a recorder and we're saying, it lit up, and sometimes we get responses on the recorder. And I love it because it's a visual.
Yes.
For people. Sometimes people need a visual so they know that something is going on, which that's why we have a DVR system, which we don't have with us today. But we love that because you can see
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a night vision cameras, and it's a recording, and they can see everything that's happening in the dark. I mean, sometimes it freaks them out because they're like, why is there so many here?
Yes.
But that is like one of the best investments I think we ever.
Yeah, that thing's because you can monitor so many places at once.
Yeah, and sometimes they won't even use the K2 meter because they don't want to be bothered. It's like beneath them.
Yeah, but simple is better.
You know what I mean? Spirits.
Oh, yeah.
Like sometimes they won't even. I'm not going to light that up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that place that we did, that was on our bucket list, the Houghton Mansion.
Yes.
That was probably the most intense place I think we ever investigated. And
that was one of our people actually had to go outside.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that, Steve? Because I know that was one of your favorite investigations.
Oh, that was incredible investigation. I remember hearing noises and people talking upstairs and walking around. We figured, okay, the crew's upstairs. We went upstairs, and there was nobody upstairs.
Right. Yeah, she actually had to leave.
And also we have a picture of her sitting on the couch with the spirit right next to her.
And I'll tell you now, I don't get unnerved when we're in investigations and all, but we were at the Houghton Mansion. I was sitting there, and I remember coming from where Mr. Houghton's bedroom was.
Yes, okay.
Now, lights are out. There's total darkness, but there's this big window that had the street lights.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, I saw this big figure coming. I think that's the only time I was like, what is going to happen?
Yes.
Because there was so much activity there that you never knew.
Everywhere we went, it was
intense. It was crazy. You actually had to leave, and we ended up staying there. And
I had to get back.
Yeah, and the rest of the team were sleeping. I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't close my eyes. I stayed up the whole entire night.
I missed the big breakfast.
But that was an intense.
That's where I had my buddy.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. When
talking
we were
about cameras.
Yeah, that was crazy. Regular
phone.
Regular phone, the iPhone. I used
this simple thing. My phone, or any phone, you can download all kinds of apps, and the camera is amazing.
But the weirdest thing with apps, I do have to say this, some of them are just toys.
Yes.
They don't even work. You have an app on your phone that is so
creepy,
but so on point, but you're the only one that could find that. Nobody else has found it. They've asked for the app and everything, but you're the only one, honestly, that even with the same phone that you have. And
I've switched phones and got the same app, yes.
How crazy is that? But
that
nobody else can do it.
But what we're talking about is the app, it has words that come across the screen. So if I ask a question, it will give me an answer and a word. And we repeat the word back to the camera. But it's incredibly accurate.
Now, that is one thing that they can do is use electronic devices to talk to us. Phone lines. Yes. Sometimes we'll get a phone call. It'll say there's a message, but there was no incoming call. That's happened before where, I've said, how can I have a message where there was no incoming calls? So they can utilize things like that. Lights. And
Yes.
the equipment, a lot of times, they'll shut down. We'll have full batteries,
And
and
they'll
they'll
shut 'em
totally
down.
drain it. But for some reason, you're always able to communicate with your phone.
That never shuts down.
Never.
Yes. Never shuts down.
Every other piece of equipment will.
But that app always works.
Exactly. Now, where do you feel like that was, that app that you use was really, on point with just stuff that we got evidence and things like that?
We were at a place, and I was trying to help a spirit cross over to get out of the place and go back to home where they should be. Mm-hmm. And so I'd ask a question. First, I'd use holy water to clear the area. And every time I do it, there's always a demon that pops up that tries to stop it. And that's what happened. I was trying to cross a person over, and then I get a word that says, blood, knife, cease.
Right.
It's not sense, but the point is made, stop.
Right. Yeah.
And so, because we do this, I can bind the spirit. That's like putting a handcuff on a person.
Right.
They can't do anything once they're bound, and then we can't have St. Michael take it away.
Right. And only certain people can do
Yes,
stuff
don't
like
do
that.
that.
Don't even
That's
attempt
like
it.
if you have a little kid trying to put handcuffs on a 200-pound guy. If you're not supposed to do it, don't do it.
Right.
Because it could be dangerous.
Now, what else do you have with you, Steve?
Oh, but can I say the phone
Oh,
app?
yeah, please keep going.
With that phone app, I was crossing me and I think you were there. We were crossing a spirit over, and I was getting words back as I was crossing. And it came to a point where it said, balance, judge, help, intercede. So he said prayers, and then I always say, when you're crossing over, let me know when you get through.
Right.
And it says through, arrived.
I remember
that.
I think that was the first time
That was the first time, yeah.
we actually crossed and
the
because the spirit asked
Yes.
to be crossed. And it's not funny, but what it was is they thought that they had to stay where they passed.
Yes.
Because they had been in a war.
Exactly.
And they had killed
Yes.
other people. And people are probably thinking, how did you know that? It's because we get that information.
Yes, they were telling us.
Yes, and that he was afraid. And when we told them, your family is waiting for you. They've been waiting for you.
Yes.
And we actually brought, because it was the father of the person that we were doing the house, and we brought him up, and we,
Yes, exactly.
and he actually was a part of it, and that was truly amazing.
And if you can remember the unity of equipment, we had the K2 meter going off in the red. The cameras picked up. You saw all the orbs in the camera.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was like he was lifted, and that was amazing.
Another piece I like is, we'll get scientific. It's from Russia, because they're cheaper there. It's a Geiger counter. And what that does, it measures radiation. And you're thinking, how can radiation affect us? I mean,
Right.
How can a spirit make radiation? But when a spirit interacts with the atmosphere, it takes electrons out. Because electrons make it stronger. That's how it can talk or react to the environment. And that will measure that.
Oh,
It's
wow.
called an ion. And that will read the ions. And I had one time, a normal background reading is about 20, they call it microservants. Mm-hmm. And that's normal because you have granite, the Earth's magnetic pole, there's always about that much around. If it goes beyond that, there's got to be a reason for it. A solar flare can cause it because it affects radiation. Yep. It could be granite in the cellar because granite turns into, my brain just stopped.
That's okay.
Yeah, the granite turns into radiation. And a lot of houses have it in their fire. The smoke detectors have it in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And but it went up to 70. Now that's a lot. If that was a radiation, that's a dangerous level to be around. But it wasn't radiation, it was the spirit.
At this place that we
Yes.
crossed the spirit.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And if it moves, normally a man-made electronic thing is going to be at the same spot all the time.
Right.
And it's not going to change or fluctuate, like a microwave or a stove. But if it moves, that's paranormal.
Right.
That's not normal.
Right. And that's what paranormal means.
Exactly. So I was tracking it with this. and I could follow the reading on it. I could follow where it was going. But if they don't interact with the atmosphere, you can't see them. You can't detect them.
Right.
But that thing's awesome. This thing is interesting. This is a tri-field meter. It's a lot of times you might have, well, I heard voices in my house. This can help debunk that, because if you had cell phone talking or radios, that will pick it up.
Right.
And also it acts as a motion detector. I'm going to be annoying for a second. You'll see. This is incredibly sensitive.
Oh yeah, I see it going up now.
It will go up, it will move, the alarm will go off. It's annoying, but you can use a motion detector. We were at the library and that happened. I used that at the library.
Right.
You could hear it going off when something came by.
Right.
What's your favorite piece of equipment?
My favorite is, of course, the millimeter that you talked about.
Yes, the millimeter.
But I do love the recorder, and I use my phone for pictures. I mean, the DVR system, like I said. But, yeah, my recorder that just gives me everything that I need. And, of course, the video recorder.
Yes. One of my favorites is this little guy. This is called a full spectrum camera.
Yes.
What it does, it takes visible light and it breaks it down into infrared and ultraviolet light. You ever see in the shows when a person gets scratched and it says it burns?
Right.
Infrared won't pick that up, but the ultraviolet will.
Oh.
So if there was a spirit that could do that, you could pick it up with that light.
Oh, wow.
It's the only camera you can use actually in the daytime, because you can take the sunlight and break it down. You can use it for doing daytime investigations.
Now, I know this sounds like a funny question, and I know the answer, but just so our guests know, what does full spectrum mean?
Full spectrum means it gives the whole light spectrum.
Okay.
So a lot of cameras like this one, this camera just does infrared. Mm-hmm. That's all it's going to detect at nighttime.
Right.
Is the red hue. Well, this one will pick up the ultraviolet, which is like purple. So I devised this simple little thing. This is actually an ultraviolet light and an infrared light together. And it's simple. It's just a black light bulb and a heat lamp for like a lizard. I screw them into a light bulb, and when I light that up on the lamp, mm-hmm. it like makes the whole room bright as day.
Now, does it affect, like night vision or anything like that, or does it just? Oh, it's for someone that doesn't have night vision on the camera.
Yes, if they had night vision, it'll actually help their camera.
Oh, okay. It makes it brighter.
Yes.
Because I know on some of our handhelds, even though it's night vision, it's some of it is really dark.
Yes. But on this camera, if I put that in a lamp and light the lamp, it's like having the lights on in the room.
Oh. But you can still see everything.
Yeah, it's still dark.
Right. That's amazing.
It is. It's
and
incredible.
Did you research that? Or I know you know a lot of, you make up a lot of your own things, which is awesome. But yeah, a lot of people wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I kind of researched it because I love researching the stuff like the scientific part, because we can feel them. Sometimes you can see them, I can see them sometimes, but that's not evidence.
Right.
But this is where the evidence comes in, when it's affecting the environment.
Right. And
that's what I try to do, is what will affect the environment that we can empirically prove.
Right.
And this stuff will do it. This, I love. This is called an ovilus. It's got a built-in vocabulary. Mm-hmm. Let's see if they can hear it. If you put it on, if there's a spirit present, they can talk through that.
Right.
And I remember one time, this doesn't have names. This doesn't have any names in it, but when that person got jumped into,
right.
It said Brenda.
Yeah,
do you remember
it said
that?
my name.
This can't say that.
I know, and you were shocked by that.
Yes.
Because And it was caught on a recording.
Yes, it said, Brenda, that's not in here.
Right.
That's not one of the vocabulary words in there. So it's amazing what a spirit can do to affect the equipment.
And that's what we say also, not to, like some people use spirit boxes and things like that. You have to be careful.
Not at home.
It's just like a Ouija board.
None of this gets used unless I'm in the place I'm investigating.
Right.
Then it gets put away.
Right.
I don't play with it.
And the difference is, people are calling us in because there's already activity there. We are not going in there to search for the activity.
Yes.
That's the difference.
And we're not going in to help.
We're going there to help. We're not going there to summon or anything like that. We're going there because we want to find out why they're there, if they need help. And that's the difference between what we do. We are not a team that just goes in there for evidence. We not only go in there to help the homeowners, we also go in there to help the spirits.
Yes.
And if they need to be crossed, or if there's something that's there that is not of good, then we need to send them where they need to go. So we're actually even helping them.
And that's why I think we get so much information, because they know that we're there to help them.
And we open and we close. So when we leave a place, there is no havoc in that place. And that's the difference.
I have to get you this, but I was filming with a full spectrum downstairs in the boiler room. And I have been crossing over spirits. And the thing came bang and said, stop. It said, cease, stop, or else, kind of.
Yeah.
And I responded, I can have angels come by and have you removed. So I don't remove things because they might have authority there. They can be there.
Right.
So unless they're harming something, then I don't do anything.
Right.
And I said, well, I can have angels come remove you. Then it said, proceed. On my phone app. It said, proceed.
That app is amazing.
Yeah.
And, I don't use apps. Some people say, how can you go by that? And, it has proved itself.
It's incredibly accurate.
occasions.
Some of the information, I've had demons talk through the app and threaten.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because they think that scares us.
We're beyond that.
Exactly.
Right now.
We've been through so much.
There's not much they can do now that's going to help us.
Now, you don't use a lot of the equipment sometimes when people don't realize that. We don't.
No.
Some places, it's like we know exactly what to use, what we need, and what the person needs. It depends if there's a lot of people, because sometimes we do guest investigators that come, so we let them use. But most of the time, we're down to the basics.
No, I keep it simple. Usually just my phone and a camera.
Yeah.
Is usually what I use.
Yep, and the EVP recorder and
Yeah,
the
you have that
DVR
already
system.
there,
We have everything. And handhelds, they have, the microphones right there too.
Yeah, it's just keep it simple. And I like this camera because this one, it can record right to DVD. It goes right to a DVD, which is kind of cool. Come on, open up. I put a DVD in there, record it, right to DVD, and I can play it anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's only a half an hour, where this can do 2.5 hours straight.
Wow.
But I have to convert it over on the computer.
And I'm learning how to do that.
Okay. Another thing is, we talked about the demons. If all the stuff we use can channel demons, because it becomes like a beacon. Hey, somebody wants to talk.
Right. And it can be just like, inviting them.
Aunt Martha comes again.
Aunt Martha, there she comes.
Aunt
She's
Martha
always
comes.
around.
Hey, I'm Aunt Martha.
Yeah.
Remember?
But we've had some pretty great adventures.
Yes, we've.
And you've always been the one with all the equipment. You've always had when we first got together and stuff like that, that was the thing, is all the new equipment, and they're coming out with so many different things.
It's unbelievable.
I always tell people, don't go out and spend thousands of dollars unless you're really into doing something like that. But I always tell them, you don't need things like that.
That phone app was free.
Right.
It's a free phone app.
Exactly.
And
And even the recorders, you can buy right at Walmart or
Yes.
any, cheap place. You don't have to order it online unless you want a specific one. You know what I mean? Like I have a specific one, and yes, I did pay more than I would at a regular one, but that's only because that's my thing, EVPs, and I wanted a recorder
and you do all
that
of
I
that.
could do live feed while I could hear them if they're responding back to me.
Yes.
So yes, I did spend a little bit more on a certain recorder.
Yeah, but it's something that it works.
It works, and it works with me, so,
It's amazing.
So what else you want to talk about, Steve? Anything?
I still want to stress that if you're using equipment, don't use it at home because you're going to attract things.
Right.
And you will attract things, and they'll wait.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you think it's a loved one you're talking to, it may not because they might have already passed on.
Right. Exactly.
And Ouija boards are, if these things open a door, a Ouija board's like having an expressway.
Right. And I tell people, I think that's the first question that I ask is, did you use a Ouija board? Do you have? I just had this person that called me, and she said, I always know when they're picking, up certain things, and I'll say, oh, is something going on at home? And they'll say, well, yeah. And she said, my husband likes to collect Ouija boards, but he doesn't use them. So that should be fine, right? I said, absolutely not. I said, no, the energy could still be in that board. And she's like, are you kidding me? I said, no, you need to get rid of that. And sure enough, come to find out, she thought it was in a storage place. Come to find out, it was in one of the rooms in a box. And they were still having the activity. Well, after that, they broke it up and things like that, and they got rid of it. But it was like, are you kidding? It's nothing to collect. I'm not saying everybody can't use it. If you know what you're doing, you know how to open, you know how to close, you totally protect it. I'm not knocking anybody who does use them. But you should be pretty much in like a professional mode and know what you're doing.
I remember before I met you, I was doing a blessing at a house. And it was a struggle all the way through the house. Struggle. It was just a struggle.
Yeah.
And I said, do you have a Ouija board in the house? No.
Yeah.
And the kid, yeah, Mommy, it's under your bed. And I went, all righty then.
I remember that.
You were there then.
I think so. Was I there for that one?
It was a long time
I don't
ago.
know.
But I remember, we do. We got rid of the board and then ended it.
Yeah.
That's the amount of energy that can come through that board.
It's just amazing, and I just can't specify enough. But we're running out of time, Steve. Thank you for coming again. It was a pleasure. I'll have to have you back. I mean, we've had a lot of adventures together, and if anybody has any issues, problems, activity, and want us to check it out, you can email me at paranormalencounterstv9@gmail.com. And thanks, and I hope to see you again. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me again.